and also getting the manufacturers on board, and time was ticking. In the UK, the first 3G mobile network had been launched on the 3rd of March 2003, so that's 4 years before the EU Commission decide what broadcast standard they want for handheld digital TV. Now, the first few years of 3G in the UK were a pretty fallow period. The three mobile operator at one point were just giving away the handsets to try and get enough people to sign up to the service, and I got one of these out of them, which did video calls and things, bit of a clunker, but if I trade it in now, I'll get 4p for it, so at least I made 4 pence profit on the deal. But despite those faltering first steps, by the time the iPhone 3G came out in 2008, or insert your own preference of handset here, the 3G networks were quite well established. There are a number of different ones operating, and yet still the DVB-H receivers hadn't appeared in the stores. However, elsewhere in Europe, the DVB-H standard was enjoying a little bit more success. It had gone beyond the initial trials and was being rolled out on a limited basis in a number of countries. But if you look now to see who is using DVB-H, if we click on the link at the top, which takes us to the official website, that pretty much tells us everything we need to know. Yes, as far as Europe is concerned, it appears that DVB-H withered on the vine. Now, while I haven't been able to find any recent details of European countries that are still using this standard, if you do know of any, please put some details in the comments. Meanwhile, over in South Korea, things were very different. They'd adopted a different standard of handheld digital television rather than DVB-H. They were using TDMB, but it pretty much did the same thing. But the crucial difference was they hadn't dragged their heels with it. They'd managed to get it out around about 2005, back when phones looked like this.
Korea.
So this is the era when a mobile phone wouldn't do much more than make phone calls or send text messages. So the idea of being able to receive live TV broadcasts on one from about a dozen or so channels definitely had an appeal, and especially when you don't have to pay any data costs for it. Now, the Korean DMB system, as well as broadcasting television signals, also sent out digital radio, and it's very similar to the digital radio system we use here in the UK called DAB. And in October 2006 in the UK, Virgin launched a mobile phone which could receive 5 television channels over the DAB network, and I did own one of these for a little while, and it definitely worked, but unfortunately it was a bit of a clunky phone. It didn't appeal to people at the time compared to the other phones that were available, and the service was discontinued in January 2008. So when it comes to handheld digital television, it seems that South Korea are the exception to the rule. It's still in use today, and there are perhaps a dozen or so channels that most people can receive on the devices. However, it doesn't seem to be offered in the latest flagship phones. I was looking on the Korean Samsung website, and they don't mention it